When temporarily monitoring the power consumption of fluorescent fixtures, it is important to meet the National Electrical Code requirements. Article 400.8 states that flexible cords and cables shall not be used as permanent wiring. Article 400.12 specifies that flexible cords shall not be concealed within walls, ceilings, or floors. To meet code requirements and ensure a safe temporary installation, consider these steps. Firstly, install a temporary power outlet directly above the lay-in ceiling in the plenum space. Ensure the outlet is securely mounted and has a cover plate. Connect the outlet to a dedicated circuit with appropriate overcurrent protection. Secondly, replace the SJ-corded watt thermometer with a listed appliance cord that is rated for the current draw of the fixtures. Ensure the cord is long enough to reach the temporary power outlet. Thirdly, mount the watt thermometer in a visible and accessible location within the plenum space. Secure the meter to a surface using screws or zip ties. Fourthly, connect the fixtures. Plug the appliance cord into the temporary power outlet and plug the fixtures into the watt thermometer. Fifthly, secure the cords. Route and secure all cords securely within the plenum space. Use cable ties or other approved means to prevent cords from becoming loose or entangled. In addition to these steps, there are some additional considerations. Ensure the plenum space has sufficient ventilation to dissipate heat from the fixtures and watt thermometer. The temporary installation should not obstruct access to the ceiling or other equipment within the plenum space. When the monitoring period is complete, remove the temporary power outlet, appliance cord, and watt thermometer. By following these steps, you can safely and temporarily monitor the power consumption of the fluorescent fixtures while meeting NEC code requirements. This includes, but is not limited to, ensuring proper wire sizing for the temporary power outlet's dedicated circuit. Consult NEC Table 310.15b16 for appropriate ampacities of conductors based on insulation type and ambient temperature. For example, if the fixtures draw a combined 10 amps, and you're using type THHN conductors in an ambient temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, a 14 American wire gauge copper conductor may be sufficient. However, local codes and specific installation conditions may necessitate a larger wire gauge. Always refer to the NEC for the most accurate and up-to-date information. Overcurrent protection is also a vital aspect. The circuit breaker protecting the temporary outlet should be sized appropriately for the conductor ampacity and the load. NEC Article 240.4d provides guidance on overcurrent protection for conductors. For a 14 American wire gauge copper conductor, the overcurrent protection should typically not exceed 15 amps. However, always verify this against the specific requirements of your installation and local codes. When selecting a listed appliance cord, ensure it is rated for the voltage and current of the fixtures. The cord's ampacity should be equal to or greater than the total current draw of the fixtures. The cord should also be suitable for the environment in which it will be used, considering factors such as temperature, moisture, and exposure to chemicals. Securely mounting the watt thermometer is essential to prevent it from falling or being damaged. Use appropriate fasteners, such as screws or zip ties, to attach the meter to a stable surface. The meter should be mounted in a location where it is easily visible and accessible for readings. Securing the cords is also crucial to prevent tripping hazards and damage to the cords themselves. Use cable ties or other approved means to bundle and secure the cords along their route. Avoid running cords across walkways or in areas where they could be easily damaged. The temporary power outlet should be installed in accordance with NEC Article 590, which covers temporary installations. The outlet should be GFCI protected if it is located in a damp or wet location, as required by NEC 590.6a. The outlet should also be properly grounded to ensure electrical safety. The plenum space should have adequate ventilation to prevent overheating of the fixtures and watt thermometer. If the plenum space is not naturally ventilated, consider installing a fan to provide forced ventilation. The temperature rating of the wiring and equipment should be suitable for the expected temperature in the plenum space. Accessibility to the ceiling and other equipment within the plenum space should not be obstructed by the temporary installation. Ensure that there is sufficient clearance around the fixtures and watt the meter to allow for maintenance and repairs. After the monitoring period is complete, remove all temporary wiring and equipment. Inspect the area to ensure that there are no remaining hazards. Properly dispose of the temporary wiring and equipment in accordance with local regulations. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician if you are not comfortable performing the installation yourself. The NEC is a complex document, and it is important to understand and follow all applicable requirements. In addition to the NEC, local codes and regulations may also apply. Be sure to check with your local authorities to ensure that your installation complies with all applicable requirements. Here are some additional details regarding the components you might use. For the temporary power outlet, consider using an MF515R receptacle. This is a standard 15 amp, 125 volt receptacle that is commonly used for general purpose applications. Ensure that the receptacle is UL listed and marked with the appropriate voltage and current ratings. When selecting an appliance cord, consider using a 14 American wire gauge or 12 American wire gauge cord with an MF515P plug. The cord should be rated for at least 15 amps and 125 volts. The cord should also be oil resistant and water resistant if it is likely to be exposed to these conditions. For cable ties, use UL listed cable ties that are rated for the environment in which they will be used. The cable ties should be strong enough to securely hold the cords in place. When routing the cords, avoid running them over sharp edges or in areas where they could be pinched or damaged. Use cable clamps or other means to support the cords if necessary. If the plenum space is used for environmental air, the wiring method must comply with NEC section 300.22c. This section requires that wiring methods installed in environmental air spaces be listed and marked for the purpose. Typically, plenum-rated cables such as CMP cables are required. However, since this is a temporary installation, consult with the local authority having jurisdiction AHA to determine if there are any exceptions or alternative wiring methods that can be used. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment (PPE), such as safety glasses and gloves. Energize the circuit before working on any electrical components. Use a voltage tester to verify that the circuit is de-energized. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to perform the installation. Remember that this information is for general guidance only and does not constitute professional electrical advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer for specific advice on your particular installation. Also consider that the NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to stay current with the latest edition of the code. The information provided is based on commonly accepted electrical practices and interpretations of the NEC, but it is not a substitute for professional engineering services or a thorough review of the applicable codes and standards. When working in a plenum space, be aware of any potential hazards, such as asbestos or other hazardous materials. If you suspect that there may be hazardous materials present, consult with a qualified environmental professional before proceeding with the installation. Consider using a portable GFCI ground fault circuit interrupter device at the temporary power outlet. This will provide an additional layer of safety by protecting against ground faults. The GFCI device will trip the circuit if it detects a ground fault, which can help to prevent electrical shock. When selecting a watt thermometer, choose a meter that is accurate and reliable. The meter should be calibrated to accurately measure the power consumption of the fixtures. The meter should also be easy to read and have a clear display. Consider using a digital watt thermometer, as these meters typically provide more accurate readings than analog meters. Digital meters also often have features such as data logging and remote monitoring capabilities. When connecting the fixtures to the watt thermometer, ensure that the connections are secure and properly insulated. Use wire connectors that are rated for the voltage and current of the fixtures. Wrap the connections with electrical tape to provide additional insulation and protection. Regularly inspect the temporary installation to ensure that it is in good condition. Check for any signs of damage to the wiring, equipment, or connections. If you find any damage, repair it immediately. Periodically check the watt meter to ensure that it is functioning properly. If the meter is not functioning properly, replace it. Keep a record of the power consumption readings from the watt meter. This will allow you to track the energy usage of the fixtures over time. You can use this information to identify areas where you can save energy. Consider using energy-efficient fluorescent lamps in the fixtures. Energy-efficient lamps use less energy than standard lamps, which can save you money on your electricity bill. Ensure that the fluorescent lamps are properly recycled when they are no longer needed. Fluorescent lamps contain mercury, which is a hazardous material. Do not dispose of fluorescent lamps in the trash. Take them to a recycling center that accepts fluorescent lamps. Consider using occupancy sensors to control the lighting in the plenum space. Occupancy sensors will automatically turn the lights on when someone enters the space and turn them off when the space is unoccupied. This can save energy by preventing the lights from being left on when they are not needed. When installing the occupancy sensors, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions. The sensors should be located in a position where they can accurately detect occupancy. Consider using a lighting control system to manage the lighting in the plenum space. A lighting control system can be used to dim the lights, turn them on and off, and adjust the color temperature of the lights. This can save energy and improve the comfort of the occupants. When selecting a lighting control system, be sure to choose a system that is compatible with the fluorescent fixtures. The system should also be easy to use and have a user-friendly interface.